I once again welcome all of you to the sixth edition of Reboot. This session is really going to be very, very exciting, especially when we are at a stage when we'll be moving to a new semester cycle. We'll be setting new goals for ourselves, for our teams. It'll be very nice for all of us to understand what is coaching and how can we develop a coaching mindset for our teams. We also have our very own, needs no introduction, Miss Shweta Sinha. Over to you.
Welcome everyone. And I could see that, every one of us is kind of confused between what is coaching, what is mentoring, what is counseling. And we will surely, as you suggested, we will share that details. And no other better person to share more insights into this other than Sridhar.
Thank you for having me here, Shweta. Absolute pleasure of being on the call and looking forward to the interaction with everyone today.
Why not actually start with the most important question on the block right now, which is actually what is coaching and mentoring and how different, and then you keep that park aside and then get into details of coaching here.
Certainly, it's a good question. It's an important question. I'm glad you're bringing this up. So let me start with mentoring. Right, mentoring traditionally has been someone who's been there and done what I'm planning to do. So if I want to become the CEO of a company, I would choose an ex-CEO or a current CEO as my mentor. He or she would sort of mentor me, saying, this is what you do to be successful. These are the things you avoid. This is how you typically get into trouble. Watch out for this. So they sort of walk me through a series of steps in terms of performance, behavior, thinking, which helps me cut down the trial and error that I may go through in order to get from point A to point B. So there's a lot of their experience that I'm grateful for, which is coming to me.
Yeah.
And I'm receiving it. So it's, in a manner of speaking, it's a guru and shishya kind of a relationship. The mentor is experienced, he or she has been through the path, and they walk us through. Now, when you come to coaching, the approach is slightly different. And there are different fields of, theories on coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I'm certified through, done my education through International Coach Federation. They've been around for 25 odd years. They've done tremendous research around the world. And this line of thinking on coaching comes from the Socratic tradition of allowing the person to figure out his or her own answers. Okay, that's at the heart of coaching, which is that I'm not here to tell you, Shweta, what you must do or not do. Rather, I'm going to support you in finding your own answers.
Mm-hmm.
3 reasons for that. One, when I get you to find your answers, your self-reliance goes up.
Yeah.
The more you find answers from within, which you will find, every single person in this room is going to find their own answer. There's enormous greatness in people. And I don't say this lightly. I'm seeing that happen for 12 odd years, right?
Mm-hmm.
When people find their own answers, the self-reliance goes up.
Mm-hmm.
1. 2 is that when we are helping the person or supporting the person find the answers, we are also enhancing their quality of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, he or she makes better choices in life. And if you look at what we do every single day in every sphere of our lives, it is choices. We're making choices constantly from the time we wake up to the time we go to bed, day after day after day. I hear that you'd like to be an entrepreneur. What about being an entrepreneur excites you?
Mm-hmm.
Notice the change in the conversation when I'm coming from a place of objectivity. I'm neither for it nor against it. This is the client's decision.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to listen to them, to support them in finding their answers. So I'll pause here.
Do to a person? How can it change a person in itself? Maybe with some how do we really do coaching? Basically, let's start with that, because most of us over here are how people.
Makes sense, absolute sense. So coaching is powerful. No two ways about it. It has worked for thousands of leaders around the world. It will work for all of you in the room. It will continue to work for people because it rests on 2 simple pillars. One is, deep down, all of us have a need to be heard. We all want to be heard. And that's one need which is not getting fulfilled sufficiently enough. For a couple of reasons, Shweta. One is, anytime if you want to tell me something, by nature, default, the way we all tend to respond is we interrupt the person when he or she is speaking. Not because we are bad people and they're good people, none of that. It is just how habitual we are. We are rushed for time. We have 20 things on our mind. Somebody's talking to us. We're looking at our phones. We're looking at something else. We're looking at our computer screens. Something else pops in our mind. We say, hold on, and we jump into that. Then we jump back to them. what's happening is that we are interrupting the person's thinking every time we stop listening, right? We are interrupting their need to be heard. It's a very, very important need for us in our lives, right? So coaching comes from this philosophy saying that we create a safe space where people can come and first speak, talk it out. The very act of expressing
Mhm.
brings you clarity. The very act of being heard, knowing that the person listening to me is not going to make a judgment on me, is going to keep this conversation confidential, believes in me, is going to be objective enough, will not give me advice, but will listen to me.
Mhm.
Okay. In coaching parlance, we use a term called let the brown water run. What this essentially means is that when a client comes and starts speaking, initially, because most folks have not been heard enough, there's a lot that has to come out before they're willing to take anything in terms of learnings. If we try to stuff it down saying, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do that? It's just empty words. It's not going to go in
Mhm.
because there's so much waiting to come out and they need to be heard. Only when the brown water has run out do you actually get the clean water coming in.
One of our team member, we have met
Yeah,
something together, we have achieved something, and the sense of goal completion is there with both of them. We have coached, and the person feels that he is getting the coaching. So, what is that
that's
part as such?
a very good question. This is at the heart of all coaching conversations, which is we ask them, what are you here for? How do you want to use our time together? What would you like to get out of this conversation today? Until the person is clear, we don't progress. There are times when a client walks into a session and says, I don't know, Sridhar. I don't know. I don't think I have anything to discuss today. Now, he or she's booked my time. We've blocked it 3 weeks in advance. They've made time. Sometimes they've physically traveled and come and met me at my office. Whatever be the reason, if they don't know what they want to get out of the conversation, we don't proceed. Because the idea is not to go through a checkbox saying we did a session. Unless the person is clear what he or she wants, we don't progress. It may be vague, but at least some inkling of where they want to go. For example, they might even say, I want to get some clarity on the way I'm showing up as a leader.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. What does the clarity look like? What
Mhm.
makes you feel you need more clarity? Has there been some feedback? Are you sensing it from within? Are your team members telling you something? Are you noticing them withdrawing from you? What about this makes it important for you? So we keep going back to that point. What do you want?
Mhm.
Right? Because you have to remember, Shweta, in coaching conversations, the responsibility for the session to be successful is actually more with the client than the coach.
Hmm.
Because we're coaching adults, we can't force somebody to do something they don't want to do. We
True.
can encourage them, we can create a space, we can support them, we can nudge them, we can inspire them.
Yep.
But unless the client chooses to move forward, we don't move forward.
Can you also, shed some light about, as a process of coaching, like you mentioned that we need to listen a lot. We need to, so we may actually get into some sessions as managers. I'm now putting myself as a manager who's ready to coach someone.
Understand and know and always remember that people want to be heard. So if your report is coming to you and they're sitting down, first hear them out. It can test your patience sometimes. You have to learn to sit still and listen to them until they have expressed everything they want to. Whatever you say is not going to be heard or understood or absorbed by them. So you got to hear them out. Once you've heard them out sufficiently enough and you've got an idea of what they want out of the conversation, you look at the goals. Let's say there are goals, behavioral goals or performance goals. You get down to the specifics, right? You try and get as specific as possible. Then you break it down into easily manageable parts because otherwise people can get overwhelmed. Earlier this morning, I was coaching a client who had a certain goal,
Mhm.
okay, certain revenues that they want to achieve for the business. And the very act of stating that goal was overwhelming my client. So we work backwards and saying 24 months from now, you want to hit this revenue target. What is your revenue target 18 months from now? What is it 12 months from now? What is it 8 months from now, 6 months from now, 4 months from now, 2 months? What is it for this month?
Mhm.
And then the client realized that all he or she had to do was to focus on the next 30 days revenues, not worry about 24 months from now. Because that looks impossible. It looks unbearable. I can't do this and the worries and things like that. So make it easy for the person to work on the plan, right?
Mhm.
The other part to remember is that as managers, as coaches, you don't have to get into the technical aspects of coaching that I do or any other coach may do. You're still looking to do two things. One, how do I make a better relationship between me and my reporting?
Right.
Two, how do I make sure that the work me and this person does or everybody else does is easier and has greater outcome?
Mhm.
That's all that we need to focus on. It's always the small things. If a client can take care of their well-being, he or she is going to show up better the next morning at work. As a result, his or her attitude towards the work will be slightly better.